Well, it's safe to say we're back doing it once again. Got yet another podcast on tap. Brent Podcast back at it again. A little bit more lively, a little bit more energized. Got quite a bit of news and information to share with the crew. We're not going to waste no time. We're going to jump into it now. Actually, this is kind of going to be a little bit more of a chill podcast, solely because I've had topics, but I've kind of been a little lax because I've had other stuff that I'm working on. So my focus has been on my podcast, but my focus has been on making my podcast greater. So I don't want people to just think I'm saying that and just blowing smoke or blowing off steam. If you hear any random odd sounds and noise in the background, it's literally the laptop having a conniption. So it's probably like you really sat and decided to open, make sure I got this right, 8 tabs and also a Facebook tab just open, just hanging out. So it's a little overwhelmed and bombarded, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's nothing urgent or anything critical. I'm kind of mixing up this podcast this week, where it's not going to be, this is the sports section, this is this section, this is this section, this is this section. It's going to kind of just be blended, and that way I get your attention, give you a little bit of time to think about something if you don't want to listen to that section, and then chip back at that topic again, possibly, depending on what's talked about. So like I said, I have quite a bit of information to share, so I'm not going to really bore y'all with all the random pre-game rituals of randomness. Just going to start off with the first topic, which I think for me is an interesting story, because they released the participants in the Saturday festivities. I kind of beat myself up a little bit for this because I forgot to get the Rising Stars lineup, and I probably can snipe looking for that information while I'm trying to, go over who is on our current roster, current events that they have listed. Hang on, I'm gonna give you what you need, because I don't like being too unorganized and too out of place with the process. Let's see, do they give me okay? All right, good, I got that. All right, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a two for one, because I did want to make sure I added this piece in before I forget. So on, of course, Saturday night is the main event that most people want to see. Friday night they have some pretty good events, like they have the celebrity All-Star game. Unsure if Kevin Hart's playing again this year, but we'll see. And you have one of the games that I personally enjoy watching, because it's always good to see these guys play and put their best foot forward, and that is the BBVA Rising Stars tournament, or BBVA Rising Stars matchup. So this year, you have a pretty, I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good lineup for both teams, because they're doing it as USA against the world. On the USA side, you got Devin Booker, Malcolm Brogdon, Marquise Chris, Brandon Ingram. Didn't know. Oh yeah, that's right. This is rookie year. Duh. Frank Kaminsky, Jahlil Okafor, D'Angelo Russell, Jonathan Simmons, Karl Anthony Towns, and Miles Turner. Miles Turner, I'm looking for Miles Turner and Karl Anthony Towns to bring their A game for this one. On the world team, we have Joel Embiid, and I'm looking at this like I'm blind as a bat. We have Joel Embiid, Dante Exum. Didn't even know that it's been like he's still on his like he's actually in year number 2. Buddy Hield, Nikola Jokic, Trey Lyles, Emmanuel Mudiay, Jamal Murray, Kristaps Porzingis, Domantas Sabonis. For those of you who do or don't know, that's Arvydas Sabonis' son, and Dario Saric. They're all going to be playing in the BBVA Rising Stars matchup, and I'm going to go ahead and break this story now because it just broke. Zach LaVine is actually going to be out for the remainder of the season. He's going to be having an ACL surgery as well. It looks like I guess he had a major serious injury, and more than likely that factors in, and it kind of blends into the current topic, which is why he's not participating in the Verizon slam dunk. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a fair warning before we continue. From what I can observe with the overall lineups for the All-Star weekend, and it was like this last year, but I think this year it's really pounded, borderline. They have branded each event very heavily, and a perfect example of that, the Rising Stars is always BBVA. Slam Dunk didn't know it was Verizon until this year. 3-point shootout is by JBL, and skills challenge is by Taco Bell. But okay, no problem. We're going to just let it be what it is and keep it moving. But in the slam dunk competition, and I like this lineup because it's kind of unique, because you have DeAndre Jordan, who's dunked more than anyone in any game. Glenn Robinson III, who has been a dunker, but we really haven't seen much of him in Indiana. Aaron Gordon, last year's runner-up to Zach LaVine. He put on a pretty good show last year, so it should be a good repeat from him. I'm expecting a good repeat from him this year. And my snub, unexpected pick that I think is going to be the funniest, or most, well, I ain't going to say funniest, but the interesting part of it all, which is Derrick Jones Jr. So I'm going to be brutally realistic for a second. When they gave the lineup for everybody who was participating, they showed Derrick Jones Jr. And the first thing that went through my head was, who is this person? So I, of course, as anyone does, went to Google, did some of my own research, got a little bit of information, and confirmed that Derrick Jones Jr. is actually a player in the D-League. Now, I'm not sure if he's currently signed or assigned to an NBA team. He more than likely is. But I was able to, surprisingly, thanks to my sports group, shout out to the sports group. Y'all already know we talk about sports 24/7, day and night, off days, on days, don't matter. But it turns out that he has quite a highlight reel from the D League. And I mean, I'm not looking for him to be somebody that can shoot jumpers and mid range and all that stuff, but he can actually, like, as far as dunking goes, he's a pretty powerful dunker. So it should be a good lineup. DeAndre Jordan's going to get a lot of grief because it's going to be the Dwight Howard 2.0 as far as having a center in the dunk contest. Unsure if it'll be a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll just see how it all pans out. Moving along, we're going to the JBL 3-point shootout. Like this lineup, it's kind of a unique scenario because the first thing I'm looking at with the lineup is, why is Nick Young in this competition? Because he's always been like a sketchy 3-point shooter to me, but hey, I'm just an observer. I'm just a fan of the sport, so hopefully it'll be a good matchup. As far as the group that participates in the 3-point shootout, you have Klay Thompson, Kyle Lowry. If I'm not mistaken, I want to make sure I'm correct on this. Kyle Lowry was the winner last year. Eric Gordon, Kyrie Irving, CJ McCollum, Kemba Walker, Wesley Matthews. Wesley Matthews is going to be a unique story since, he's been a 3-point shooter, but not to that degree. But it turns out that he is among the top. He's among the top 10 in 3 points attempted. And Nick Young. And swinging over to the skills challenge, which I think is going to be unique because they're doing what's called a big man they're doing the bigs against the guards this year. So you have Kristaps Porzingis, DeMarcus Cousins, the Unibrow, Anthony Davis, the Project, Joel Embiid, IT4, Isaiah Thomas, Gordon Hayward, J-Dub, John Wall, and Devin Booker. I'm looking at everyone who's like, and the reason they made this a big deal this year was because last year, Karl Anthony Towns actually won the skills challenge. And then, obviously he's a big man. So for him to win it the way he did, and it was against, of all players, one of the shortest guys in the league, Isaiah Thomas, who's back this year. So, Isaiah Thomas definitely wants to, regain his reign or, defend himself from that defeat against him in that matchup. So those are all of that'll be pretty much all of the festivities and participants in the events leading up to what's considered as the scoring / no defense event until the fourth quarter main event, known as the NBA All-Star Game. So I just wanted to kind of mention to everyone who was participating in that portion or piece of the scenario. And then we're jumping away from basketball a little bit, and we're going into, and I wanted to blend this in early because I feel like she's an artist that was very underrated and didn't get much attention. But then it's even tougher because, this is a new story for me because as I share these stories, I learn about what these, what happened with these individuals or how, things, et cetera, et cetera. So today's artist focus is the one and only Minnie Riperton. Her hit single that many people know is "Loving You," and I'm not going to do the rest of the song because if you expect me to hit that note, not going to happen. I'll lose listeners, followers, might have copyright infringement, so I'm not taking no chances. Back in 1971, she died at the young age of 31. But Minnie Riperton was a very talented performer. She mainly made it her goal to she truly and honestly valued music in a way that a lot of people today don't even come close to understanding music. I think one of the reasons I like her is because most people know her more so for, they know her more so for "Loving You," but there are a lot of other like underground or undercover tracks that she did that were just unfair. That's the best way I can describe it. She was like I said, she's an artist, and I think the reason I'm so emphatic in picking her as an artist this week is because, like Curtis Mayfield, she put her heart and her soul into her music, and it showed. There wasn't too many. I mean, I have "Lonely Girl." It was a lot of songs that she did that I really was a big fan of, and it's tough because normally I can, like, as anybody who knows me will tell you, I'm one of those people who can sit and name music of an artist like it's the back of my, literally like it's a regular traditional routine. So I just want to come up with some main songs she did. Of course, okay, yeah, Brain Cells come back as soon as I find the full story. And I'm sorry, let me make sure I get the story right. She passed in 79, and her hit single she was just ahead of the game when it came to music. One of her other singles, "Back Down Memory Lane." Memory Lane was hers. "You Can See Inside Me. Will You Come Inside Me? Do You?" "Inside My Love" was a very unique song. And I know I use unique with a lot of these artists, but if you really go back and listen to "Inside My Love" and what she was talking about, she was telling you a story that I always can remember. Let's see. Trying to think of some other songs she had. "Light My Fire." Yep. "Perfect Angel." "Perfect Angel" was a good song she did. But yeah, I wanted to go a little bit of a different route, and I still have more artists, so I'm going to be throwing more. And like I said, I've mentioned to people, and I'm asking everyone who is listening, if you do have any artists or suggestions for individuals you would like me to talk about in the artist spotlight, I don't mind. I'm not very picky or very choosy. And since we're on the subject of artists, since this is Black History Month, if you're following me on Instagram under Brytay82, and I have both of my pages, my Brytay82 page and my Brytay podcast page are both open and public, so I don't have it where it's locked and you can't see it. I do a daily, it's almost like a fun fact, but it's also like an informative breakdown of a individual in Black history. And I usually, what I used to do, the first year I got on Instagram, I said, okay, I'm gonna just do Black History Month, and I'll do inventions. So when that happened, I said, all right, let me come up with another way. And this is a segue, so just let it happen. When that happened, once I finished that, I said, all right, well, I don't want to do more inventions, and I don't want to do famous people that we always hear about. Like, let's do what I would define as the 2% of. I mean, at that time, I didn't really determine the 2%, but I was like, let me focus a target on one specific queue of facts or known individuals. So one year I did writers, one year I did musicians. This year I'm doing artists. So anyone who paints, draws, designs, that's into the art scene, those are the people who I'm doing for Black History Month for this year and for the month of February. I know it would be a beneficial thing to do every day. I would like to get to that point and do that, but like anything, it just comes with time and taking steps. So I will be working on that, but I just wanted to share that with you all in what I do with how I handle Black History Month. I'm a little different. Anybody who knows me will always tell you I'm a little different with things. What a road we travel together. Thanks so much to you for sharing your time with me. What great memories we've had over the last almost 50 years. But now it's time for me to turn over the play-by-play duties to those fine young announcers who are growing up at ESPN. Make no mistake about it, I'm going to miss games like this. I'm going to miss working with all the great analysts that I've been with through the year. But maybe you'll pay a visit out with me. Pay me a visit out of my new place in Las Vegas. Why not? We could share a cold one and maybe a win or two. Anyway, thank you so much for all the appreciation and all the great moments we've experienced together. God bless. Brent Musburger is a guy who I could talk about for hours, and I'm not going to because we don't have an hour podcast, but the process and the mindset he has for sports, his knowledge of sports is just, he's been in the game for a long time. 50 years, come on. I wanted to make sure when I did share the picture and share the story about him, that I not only put a picture of like a retro picture of Brent Musburger, but I also wanted to put when Kentucky made the plaque for him for doing his last game at Kentucky. And it was against Georgia, and it was, the interesting part, it was oddly enough a close game. Kentucky almost could have lost that game, because at one point at halftime, the score was 29-29 at halftime, not in the middle of the first half. At halftime, both teams scored 58 points combined. But Brent Musburger did the game just like he does all his games. He was, calm, cool, collective, relaxed, chilling, just out there doing his thing, talking about his passion, and he put on a good show. But I'm talking about him, and I'm bringing this up because he reinvented. I ain't gonna say he reinvented, but he added a piece to what you call giving an effort to what he did. Like he tooled his craft. And that's something that, I guess that's kind of why I want to talk about him for a second. When you're doing something or you're working on something and it's your skill or your craft or your niche or it's something that you have a passion for. And I'm finally glad, because now this is where I'm going to use what I have as information, but kind of improv on it, so y'all just kind of can understand. If I'm having a venting moment, just let me have it, because I need to talk. But Brent Musburger was great with his craft of being an analyst with sports. And he didn't just he did basketball, he did baseball, he did football. Only sport that it would have been interesting to see him do it, and he may have done it and I just don't need to do my research, is if he did soccer. Because I could see him, if he was able to learn players' names, like a lot of the guys who analysts for, are analysts for, color commentators for the Premier League, I can see him doing that and picking up on it with no problem. What a lot of people don't understand, and this is, with journalists, with anybody, you have to go in knowing information about these people. Like the stats that they have on these players, they don't just have it written out. Like somebody may give them some of the information, But a lot of it, they have to go and do research on, okay, let me see when LeBron played. Okay, LeBron's playing New York. Let's see what was the highest amount of points he had against New York. And was it in the Garden or was it, back home at the Land? So Brent Musburger did that type of research as far as with his job. He really put his heart into what he did. And that's kind of how I look at my podcast. I want my podcast to stand for what I do and what I know. What most people hear me talk about on a consistent basis is music, gaming, and sports. Yes, I talk about writing and I'm always blogging like it's no tomorrow, but the things that are involved with this type of work and doing podcasting and my three babies are key to why I put so much time into getting those who listen or have a chance to see me post or talk about the podcast, why I value what you all do or where you all stand with me on that stuff. So I really have nothing but the utmost respect for Brent Musburger as a person and as an analyst and his knowledge for the game and the effort he put into it is the effort that I'm pushing to put into my podcast as well as my personal brand. Because whether you acknowledge it, and this is probably a segue, but I'm going to let this segue happen because it's me and y'all know how I do and I don't care. I really don't give a fuck right now. I feel as though people state or make conversations about their quote-unquote brand, but they don't know what their brand is. Brent Musburger had a brand that presented who it was when he was on TV. Stuart Scott had a brand that presented itself when he was on TV. When you're doing something, your brand is who you are. And I've written about this in blogs. I've talked to people about this. This is literally going to be my segue of this podcast. And I'm going to get focused and get to the rest of these topics because I got quite a few. But it's very important and it's very key to never deny or disregard the importance of your brand. And that's what Brent Musburger did the most in what he did. Is that he talked about sports. He gave you knowledge. He gave you information. He gave you history. He gave you things that you wouldn't even think of looking for or knowing about in the game. That you're like, oh, I didn't even know that. Because you really don't know it until it's told to you in most games and watching most shows. So I just wanted to say that and get that piece out there. That's my random tangent. It is what it is. Take it for what it's worth. Let it be what it's going to be. Now, the exciting / kind of conversational based story, I guess. Wednesday was National Signing Day. I'm talking about this story for a reason because now players are starting to get more creative with how they do their presentation of what school they're going to. 1 year, the guy... I remember somebody was in college. Kid was in high school. He had his hair cut, and he turned his head around, and it showed the team of what school he was going to. Some people that would be corny, but in his case, it worked. I think one of the best ones I saw was from a recruit going to Maryland, where he sent off I guess it was like a device. He sent the device out. It wasn't a droid, but he sent something out into outer space. And while it was out there, it showed the choices of the schools he had as his choices. And it ended up showing what college he ended up choosing for signing his letter. Recruit wise, do we even need to ask? Alabama was first, Ohio State second, Georgia third. And it's odd to me because Georgia always gets good recruiting, but they don't do well playoff wise. And the toughest part about it is they're in the SEC, so go figure. 5-star players. It looks like it was a good amount of 5-star players, but there weren't many. Alabama got 6 of them, and they got 18 4-stars. So yeah, Georgia was third. Southern Cal was fourth. Michigan fifth. Florida State 6, LSU 7, Oklahoma 8th, Auburn 9th, and Florida's rounding out top 10. Not going to break down the full numbers because it's so many people, but I just wanted to at least give everyone a bit of an overview as to who was going where. I mean, well, not who was going where, but who, made their choice of where they were going to school. And I think it's a big deal because you're not only making this choice for your education, but you're also making this as a possible career choice, whether if you decide to go to the NBA, the NFL. I'll get my sports together. Y'all know how backwards I can be sometimes. But yeah, that was a cool little story to kind of share and talk about as it occurred. All right, blending into the techie talk for a little bit. It's gonna kind of be a tech hit, another throw, and then back to tech again. But Apple Airpods, those little small earbuds that people can't seem to find because they had to make an update to set it up. And this is actually a two-parter, so I'm gonna go ahead and break this down. They did a firmware update on the AirPods that Apple released back they were released in September, went live and on sale in December, and from what sales show, it looks like people are loving them. The toughest part is when you are running and using them, that they have a chance they could be lost. So they've made, like, you can do Find My iPhone, you can do Find My AirPods, and it'll make the AirPods beep, so you can know exactly where they have a possibility of where they might be located. Toughest part is, and my twin and I, we always joke about this, but it's literally how we feel. Like, the minute I hit send or order or submit or whatever, once they gave me the order number, I've already lost them. I know I am. I know I would, because they are that small and that, like, they're small. I mean, they look nice, but it just, I don't know. I got an odd thing about them, but I mean, it's the new thing. It's a lot of people have. I actually saw somebody at MagFest wearing a pair, and it kind of caught me off guard for a second. But yeah, they have so far. They've done a firmware update for the AirPods. Let's see if it's anything special that it says. Yeah, it's just bug fixes. Let's see. The company last week released a test version of its operating mobile system, iOS 10, which includes the Find My AirPods feature. This software will make it easier for AirPod owners to find the tiny earbuds, which could be easily lost by disclosing their location on the map. The feature is currently only available to I'm sorry, let me rewind. The Find My AirPods feature is in beta because you'd have to be a software tester or a developer to actually be able to utilize that feature. I was a beta tester with the iPhone 6. I didn't set anything up with my iPhone 7, and I think I'm not going to be in a major rush to get any betas if I don't have to. The only reason why is because unless the beta is going to bring something major, yeah, I'll go for it then, but I'm not even like in a rush to go after it right now. That's just my status with that. So yeah, the AirPods come out with a new update. And I'm sorry, this is the other part, because I did show this in the image and I want to make sure I don't forget. And I'm not rambling fast to get by it, because that's not how I feng shui. But I want to say it's Spigen. Spigen is a known case company. I believe, I can't think of the other company thing. Belkin may have this as well, but they've decided to make a device or a accessory that you can clip your AirPods to it, and basically, long story short, it turns your AirPods into Beats by Dre. I just go say it just like it is, because that's pretty much what you're doing. I always talk about earbuds and Bluetooth earbuds, and I always make this conversation to people loud and clear. Beats by Dre is its own radar, does its own thing. I'm personally guilty of joking about this, and I even owned a pair briefly. I'm not the biggest fan of the choker, so I've talked about this on a podcast probably before, but the choker Bluetooth is not my thing. But I've seen a lot of people who wear them, they like them, they love them. It's all them all day, love it. no problem. But it's unique because the Beats by Dre has a similar wear design, but it doesn't feel as heavy. Like I can wear those and forget that I'm wearing them. That's how much I like wearing my my Beats. I just got a pair of Jaybirds, and I'm in the weirdest phase of this, and this is probably like sidebar again, but the pairing process for my Jaybirds isn't going as smooth as I expected. So I'm trying to still do some research on that and getting it to its proper procedure and proper par of getting that, having that done. But yeah, I'm gonna see how these are and if it's has a similar wear and feel of the Beats, because I feel like it does. I just need to test it out and really see, where it stands and what it's all about. Sorry, I'm like, if I'm away from the microphone for a second, I'm sitting here because I just bought an Xbox Connect, and I don't know why, because I don't have space to use it here, but that'll change soon. But I see like a little light on it, and I guess it's the camera that always is on, but I'm actually thinking I'm wrong because it's actually the Xbox logo. But random tangent, don't mind me. Next topic. Segue random, just being me. We are going to, and I found this article because I guess this is the best way to talk about it, because for the past week and some change, it's been Charles Barkley taking shots at LeBron. LeBron's tired of being talked about. LeBron made comments back at Charles Barkley because he wanted him. I think LeBron is just tired of being pushed over or seeming like he's a pushover. He already gets enough slack as it is for being a big baby and a big flopper. Sorry if you're a LeBron fan. Sorry if you're a Cavs fan. Just speaking truth. But he did disclose that he is he's looking to get things back on track with his routine, as far as they basically, okay, let me rewind because I'm blah blahing and rambling because I just got some information that I forgot all about, but it's neither here nor there. They did, USA Today, I guess, did what you would define as a winners and losers of the Charles Barkley and LeBron James feud. Because it was mainly, LeBron, I think, was tough about it because I actually finally saw the storyline. And from Shaq's perspective, I get it. Shaq is saying it as, don't put LeBron in the category of Q like he's not a great player. The toughest part about it is LeBron's one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best. He doesn't produce and show as being the best because he doesn't have to, thanks to who he has as, who complements his team, as far as his teammates. I don't know why I want to say compliments his team. But they talked about the top 10 winners of the feud. They put number 10 was Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. I'm not going to really read the details. If you want the details of who and of the whys as to what order they were put in, it will be in the description. Number 9 was Dwayne Wade. Number 8, David Griffin, who's the GM. Number 7, King James. And I'm sadly calling him that, but it is what it is. Number 6, the Warriors. And it's because it's the impression or assumption that Golden State's looked at as just a run and shoot team, and they don't play a lot of, they play defense, but they don't have a lot of scoring portions to the process. Let's see. Sorry. Moment. Number 5, Shaquille O'Neal, which was because Shaq came to the defense of LeBron in regards to this. Number 4, Dave McManaman. I hope I pronounced that right. If I did not, then oh well. But McManaman broke the story as far as saying that Barkley was a hater, and that kind of triggered all of this to be what it is. Number 3, Jordan Farmar. He was able to get a chance to actually possibly play for somebody's team because he has not been playing for a while. We haven't heard about him in a while. You have a few other point guards who are trying to get a spot on the Cleveland Cavaliers roster as far as being a backup point guard, since they are limited with only Kyrie being their main point guard persona. Charles Barkley makes it clear, make your argument, stick to your argument, laugh off any and all personal jokes, keep sticking to your argument, don't join Twitter. And it's so sad because as far as Charles Barkley is concerned, he's never going to join Twitter, which is his personal choice. But yeah, Charles Barkley is number 2 on the list. And number 1, of course, is the NBA, because the odd part about it is there's been more talk about this scenario. What did I just knock over? I'm sorry. There's been a lot of talk about this storyline between the two of them, but there's been no talk about the Super Bowl. There hasn't been, Media Day came and went, and I probably have been missing out on it because I'm trying to get ESPN here and there as I can, but it's been about, the NBA has gotten a lot more attention than expected. So shout outs to LeBron and Charles Barkley for adding a little lightning to the league. And now my final story, which is a 2-part article. I got about 9 minutes, so I'm gonna be as conversationalist, but also as direct as I can with this story. Number 1, it's about the new Apple MacBook with the Touch Bar, a MacBook Pro Touch Bar, because there's a big deal about the Touch Bars. A lot of people. I was reading an article on Pinterest. I don't really think it was the greatest source, but it was a source that mentioned the Touch Bar and talked about how the Touch Bar has pretty much lived out its life. I wouldn't look at it as a reliable source per se for a story, but it had the story, so it kind of triggered me to think about this and wondering, have the sales really been what they expect them to be for the Touch Bar MacBooks? And I'm not sure. From what I can tell and from what I can look at, I don't really have a lot of a wow factor for the Touch Bar. And I think it's because it's on a do I need it and would it benefit me basis. And the answer to both questions, honestly, right now is no. And the other turnoff for me with the MacBook Pro that I've been adamant in talking about is, if you're going to give me a MacBook and you're going to give me the option to have drives of ports, don't minimize me only to the ports that you would like me to use when I may still have devices that still support USB. For instance, if I had the MacBook Pro Touch Bar right now, I wouldn't be able to use it. And the reason why, I would be able to use it, but I wouldn't be able to do my podcast unless I had a adapter to plug into the USB-C port that can be used to actually read as a hub to connect my microphone. So there's things like that that aren't thought of when they make certain things. But I share the story and I talk about this because it looks like the Touch Bar is already making a scene in college. A couple of days ago, any students who are studying law in North Carolina have to disable the functionality or the ability of what it's able to do based on them doing their bar. Because, let me make sure, and I want to read this as best as I can to not really be blah blah-ish about it. This is a notice for all applicants who will be using their laptop at the February 2017 North Carolina bar examination. If you are planning to use the newest version of the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, you will be required to disable the Touch Bar feature prior to entry into the bar examination site. Please be advised that the announcing proctor will make the announcement at the start of the exam session, asking anyone who is using a MacBook Pro with Touch Bar to raise their hand so that a proctor or exam soft technician can come to their seat and ensure that the Touch Bar has been disabled. The notice doesn't include the reason why. And this is, okay, and it's kind of a coincidence. Let's see, it appears, okay, so it's expanded. So other bar exams are being strict about this. What's interesting, and I'm just reading and looking at this, is they don't explain why you can't use it, but they confirm or have a good idea that it gives more functionality with you using it in the class. So I guess they have to, because it's something new and this will really cap me off, because now I'm just gonna not even look at my tab and just kind of count my time, because I know when the 40 come, I got that 5-minute window that I got to fight with. But I'm gonna say this the touch bar, the touch ID, everything that's coming into play with the new MacBooks is going to be interesting from a very legal standpoint. And of course, there's my time running out message. I couldn't love you more. Time is running out. Sorry. But it's what's going to be the key factor of this is that if the MacBooks, matter of fact, I'll give you a realistic scenario. We're going to take it away from the North Carolina law and California bar exams and all that, just common everyday stuff. If a person is put in a position where they have to unlock their computer and it's for a legal purpose, if that person chooses not to enter their information, they don't have to. You know why? Because unless you make that person, or unless you have something in writing stating, hey, we need your fingerprint to put onto this computer so we can go into it because we need information for a case. It's going to be tough, but no one's thought of that part. And I think that would be about the only perk I see of having the touch bar and having the touch ID. But all of the other stuff was not thought out properly. And what I really had the last tab for to point out, and this is really going to cap into my closing, is the touch bar was not considered when they factored in the battery life of the MacBook. Because if you're going to be using a touch bar, that means that it's going to be more screen touch or screen usage. Already, if you're typing on it, that's one thing. But if your keyboard is, and if you're using your keyboard and then you're having to adjust things there, like let's say you're working on Final Cut and you have your laptop and you don't have a charger, or you have a charger but you can't use it at that moment, it's gonna play a key role into how much you can work on without you needing to charge your phone. Charge your computer. And that wasn't considered because now the battery that's in the MacBook Pro is the same as most of the MacBooks that they use already. Because they don't, from what I can tell, and I gotta remember the keynote to a T because I don't, but they didn't really say much about battery life, or that we enhanced the battery life, because they usually will, and they probably are going to do it on the next one, so we hope they get it right. But that was a factor that wasn't put into place when it came to looking at the MacBook Pro when they broke it down. But I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping I can see someone who actually buy one and really give a review personally, not going by people online talking about it, because when they talk about it, they're going to give their unbiased opinion, which is totally fine. Some may be biased, and I already know how that goes. So we'll leave it there, and I'm kind of capping and closing and mixing and matching. But what I want to say to everyone is, and I talked about this in the middle, I'm bringing this up again because I really want to emphasize this to people who are listening. Please know, build, enhance, work on, challenge, go for, attempt, utilize your knowledge, and work on your brand. I didn't realize how important branding was until I've seen it in action. And I'll give a personal story and then I'll cap off. A friend of mine, his name is JV. JV is a big reason why I bought this computer. He's a big reason now that I do a lot more things with what I'm trying to work on with my Mac. I still want more things to work on and more stuff to do, but at least, you got to start somewhere to get somewhere. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't really be doing a lot of things that I'm doing with trying to get my MacBook and trying to work on computers and being into it like I am. But yet, here we are. So my point is, if you have a brand, if you have a skill, if you have a knowledge, by all means, do it, use it, put it to its full potential. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everybody who takes time to share what I'm posting, to talk about whatever I'm doing, to give me feedback, to call me out on whatever I miss, things of that sort. But if you are or aren't checking out the podcast, if this is your first time, go to iTunes. I'm on brytaypodcast on iTunes. Just look for the microphone, the 3 logos around the microphone. I'm always talking about different topics, and I have fun doing what I do, being who I am, and loving what I love. Y'all stay safe, be good, be careful. It's the weekend. Do something good for somebody. Do something good for yourself. Until next time, BT signing out. Peace. Nah, just kidding. Peace.